Hello, I am CruellasFurCoat, and today I'm doing an in-depth discussion and review of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the movie which came out last Friday, the 15th of July 2011. Now, the final film in the Harry Potter series is one of the most highly anticipated films ever, and I'm completely delighted to know, and I know many of you Harry Potter fans out there will agree with me, that it does not disappoint. I cannot believe that there will never be another Harry Potter movie, but I'm glad to say that I left the theatre feeling satisfied with what I've seen, and I think it was the perfect way for the series to come to a close. I'm going to give this movie a full in-depth discussion and review, including a number of plot points and spoilers, meaning that if you've not seen it, then you may want to wait until you've watched this fantastic piece of filmography before you watch the rest of this video. The film begins with a short recap of Voldemort stealing the Elder Wand from Albus Dumbledore's tomb, followed by an opening shot of Hogwarts surrounded by the Dementors. We then see Headmaster Snape watching students marching through the courtyard, giving the film a very frightening opening. There is then about 10 minutes at Shell Cottage with the first words of the film said by Luna Lovegood, which I thought was a rather unusual choice. The slightly uneasy words, the acting of Vanna Lynch as Luna and Donald Gleeson as Bill Weasley, they gave the film not quite the hard-hitting opening as I was expecting. But the concept and background to the scene do kind of make up for this. We then see the trio talking to Griphook, as they do in the novel, who is excellently portrayed by Warwick Davis. His rather wicked image and voice gives the character the reprehensible nature he needs. There's a nice moment when Harry and Griphook converse on how they met when Harry first visited Gringotts in Philosopher's Stone. A little flashback moment to remind lesser diehard Harry Potter fans. The trio then go and visit Ollivander, who is, as we all know from the very first teaser trailer of these films, that he has heard of the Deathly Hallows, unlike his book counterpart. However, the reason for this change is now clear. This served as the main recap scene when we hear about the Deathly Hallows once more. This is the last time in the film where we see Ollivander, who also serves as the first curtain call of the movie. John Hurt has returned once more to play the weak wand maker, who I'm extremely pleased decided to return and take his final bow. After a quick scene showing the trio and Griphook disapparating, we arrive in Diagon Alley, where we see Bellatrix Lestrange, or should I say, apologies to Hermione. Helena Bonham Carter slips into the shoes of Emma Watson perfectly and provides some fantastic comic relief for the start of the film. The Gringotts scene includes one of the only magical differences from the earlier films, when the Imperius curse is placed upon the goblin Bogrod. We see a sort of gas being transmitted from Griphook to the other goblin. I think this was a nice effect which could have been used in the earlier films. The ride, so to speak, down into the Gringotts vaults is very exciting, especially in 3D. The thief's downfall is nicely displayed, apart from the fact that it is not explained at all. This makes it quite hard for people who have not read the books to understand. The Gringotts dragon is absolutely fantastic and looks very realistic, not dissimilar from the dragons in Goblet of Fire. In the Lestrange Vault, the Gemino curse is very well done, but it looks quite unrealistic that the characters are able to find their way through so much treasure. However, this is Harry Potter. The escape from Gringotts is absolutely fantastic, and the special effects are amazing. It's actually quite sad to see Gringotts Bank being destroyed so easily, possibly even more than Hogwarts Castle. After jumping off the dragon and a quick walk through a field, the trio somehow appear in Hogsmeade, which is unexplained how they got there. However, this is only a minor change. After a quick hide from Death Eaters, we see the first major new character of the film, Aberforth Dumbledore, who is played very well by Kieran Hines. He looks rather like his deceased brother, however not enough for there to be any mix-up. Aberforth's involvement in the earlier film is well explained, however his and his family's backstory is not. This is not essential to the film, however would have been nice to watch in flashback form. Ariana Dumbledore, however, does appear, which is very good. After following Neville back to Hogwarts and entering the Room of Requirement, which is never actually identified as such, there is probably the most poorly acted scene of the film, during which nearly all of the well-known Hogwarts students, as well, they are seen for the first time, and lines come from Luna, Cho Chang, portrayed by Katie Leung, and Seamus Finnegan, played by Devon Murray. Also, at first listen, Seamus's dialogue is almost indistinguishable. Then, as with every Ginny Weasley appearance, we have another extremely awkward performance from Bonnie Wright, who really doesn't seem to have learned anything from her poor reviews in previous films and sounds like she's reading off a script. We then have one of my favourite scenes in the movie, when Snape addresses the students in the Great Hall, accompanied by the Carrow twins, Amicus, portrayed by Ralph Ineson, and Alecto, played by Susie Torres, who also appeared in the 2 previous adaptations. This is the first part of Alan Rickman's performance of his life, as it has been dubbed, and you can really see how much he cares about this role. Later in the scene, there is a duel between Snape and McGonagall before she has even spoken. Maggie Smith shows the power and the superiority of her character quite remarkably throughout the film, and really stands out as the lead adult female character. Her later remark to Mrs. Weasley, "I've always wanted to use that spell," is perfectly timed and incredibly funny. This scene with Harry, the scene with Harry and Helena Ravenclaw is slightly different from the book, but Kelly MacDonald, who plays the Grey Lady, really captures the ghost personality, I felt. However, I did not like the fact she was different from the ghost in the earlier movies. She seemed to be wearing coloured clothing, unlike the grey white ghost from the earlier movies, and she also seemed to be able to turn into a white ball, which is a newly reduced and never referred to in the novels. There is an added scene in the Chamber of Secrets, which I thoroughly enjoyed. This is because we get to revisit a place that had not been seen since the second movie, and seems to look exactly the same. This would only have been better if Shirley Henderson would have returned as Moaning Myrtle for one final time, but we haven't seen her since the 4th movie. There is another added scene with Neville and a number of Death Eaters, including the Snatcher Scabia, portrayed by Nick Moran, on the covered bridge, which is another funny moment. Matthew Lewis also really stands out in this scene, and his later speech has a much more mature character, showing that in his later speech has a much more mature character, showing the biggest character transformation since the early movies. I think that during the covered bridge scene, the whole theatre laughed the most they did throughout the film. In the later scene, in the Room of Requirements, it was pretty much the same as the book. However, Blaise Zabini, played by Louis Cordes, replaces Vincent Crabbe as Jamie Wayler. Jamie Wayler as Vincent Crabbe, as he doesn't appear. Tom Felton as Draco Malfoy is excellent as ever, and Josh Herdman is the perfect Goyle. However, I felt that the CGI for the broomstick ride was the worst in the film, as you could distinguish the riders and the background very easily. Snape's death, as we all knew, does not take place in the Shrieking Shack, but in the boathouse. This does not, however, alter the intensity and effect of this scene. Alan Rickman is so fantastic as he has his final words with Harry, and I think I was about to cry myself. His last words of "You have your mother's eyes" are so tear-jerking when you know what the Prince's Tale is about, as I do. When we then see, wait for it, Sybil Trelawney, one of my favourite characters, makes her appearance as the trio walk through the Great Hall. Although she's only on the screen for about 4 or 5 seconds, they were so worth waiting the 4 years since we last saw her. Saw Emma Thompson as the divination teacher in Order of the Phoenix. Professors Phileas Flitwick and Horace Slughorn are also visible in a number of scenes, played by Warwick Davis and Jim Broadbent, respectively. And they both do what they do best, really capture the essence of the character and bring them to life on screen. We also get the long-awaited return of Professor Pomona Sprout, portrayed once again by the fantastic Miriam Margolyes. We haven't seen her since Chamber of Secrets back in 2002, but everyone remembers her all the same. It would have been nice to see, it would have been more perfect if Zoe Wanamaker would have made a final appearance as Madame Miranda Hooch, but we can only dream. Other staff members to make an appearance are Gemma Jones's Madame Poppy Pomfrey and David Bradley's August Filch. Bradley provides two of the funniest moments in the series in this movie, including him sweeping up after the battle, which I could just watch all day long. God, I'm going to miss you guys. However, back to the story. Also, in the Great Hall, we see the dead body of Fred Weasley being surrounded by his family, and possibly the saddest moment for me, Lupin and Tonks dead. I never really felt a connection to either of these characters. However, to see David Thewlis and Natalia Tenner's character's body like that really made me cry. We then cut to the headmaster's office, and this was the part I found really interesting. The pensieve in the is first in the stone base we see during Goblet of Fire. However, it comes out and flies onto the desk as it appears in Half-Blood Prince. For consistency lovers like me, this is absolutely fantastic and shows both the previous appearances were in actual fact the same pensieve, when many people had doubt whether they were. The Prince's Tale was my favourite chapter in the whole Harry Potter series, and I think this scene in the movie was also my favourite. The flashbacks of Lily, Petunia and Severus I felt were slightly rushed, however, and I think it would have been hard for non-book readers to understand. However, the scene when Lily is being sorted was great, as it included McGonagall looking younger than she does during the rest of the movie. The scene between Snape and Dumbledore is beautifully shot and conveys the message of the novel really well. I really like the way they made Alan Rickman look like he does in the respective movies. I also think it's great how they included a shot of Timothy Sport as Wormtail, just because it means he makes an appearance in the film. Even though it's him from The Prisoner of Azkaban, it still counts as an appearance in my opinion. The moments with Snape holding Lily in his arms are so emotional too. The scenes in the Forbidden Forest and King's Cross are very much parallel to the novel. The resurrection scenes sees the return of Gary Oldman as Sirius Black, Geraldine Somerville as Lily Potter, and Adrian Rawlins as James Potter, which are fantastically consistent. I have also thought that Harry would have chosen to bring back Mad-Eye Moody at this point, and it would have been so amazing to see Brendan Gleeson once more, but it's not what Joe wrote, so I can't really argue with it. The moment when Harry tries to touch his mother and can't is very sad, and you really feel for him. As Harry confronts Voldemort for the first time in the movie, we see Robbie Coltrane's Rubeus Hagrid for the first time in the whole film, which I thought was rather odd. However, he plays practically the same role as he does in the novel, and Robbie Coltrane gives a great performance as always, despite only having about 3 lines. King's Cross is as weird as it is in the novel. Harry wakes up in a white place with a piece of Voldemort's soul under a bench, and to top it all off, Dumbledore appears. Michael Gambon gives Dumbledore's final bout the mysterious and mystical qualities it needs, and also keeps with the character's quiet nature, which is great. The trio do not visit his office after the battle, and so this is his final scene. We then see the first major appearance of Narcissa Malfoy, played beautifully by Helen McCrory, and her husband Lucius also plays a part, played by Jason Isaacs. Jason has been a great lover of the series since his first appearance in Chamber of Secrets, and I don't think that his character was really given enough recognition in this final movie. After returning to Hogwarts, and Draco returning to the Death Eaters, his parents quickly usher him away across the viaduct, and so are the first to escape the battle and their chance of death, and so really shows the fact that the family are the least loyal to Voldemort during this time. The final stand between Harry and Voldemort is gloriously long and takes about 10 minutes from start to finish. During this time, we see the two of them running around the castle and duelling, along with Neville killing Nagini, and the famous duel between Molly Weasley and Bellatrix Lestrange. Julie Walters is an incredible actress who really gets the recognition she deserves in this scene, whilst delivering the best line in the whole series. Talking about lines, Harry's line, "Come on Tom, let's finish it the way we started it, together," did not really have as big an effect on the audience as I think would have been expected. This is probably because it has been advertised so much, and so most of the people in the theatre would have seen it. Whilst I remember, other actors who deserve notes are Mark Williams as Arthur Weasley, George Harris as Kingsley Shacklebolt, James and Oliver Phelps as Fred and George Weasley, and Clemence Posey as Fleur Delacour or Weasley. The only other character who I would have liked to have made an appearance would have been Imelda Staunton as Dolores Umbridge, although she doesn't in the book. However, she appeared in the penultimate film, so I guess I can't really complain. As Voldemort, Ralph Fiennes' performance is sadistic, frightening, and thoroughly wicked. His performance has never faltered since we first saw him in movie 4, and Voldemort fans will not be let down. The main trio of actors, Dan Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson, give their best performances of the series, in my opinion, ranging from the comic moments from Rupert to tear-jerking ones from Emma. They've really turned into incredible performers. After Voldemort is defeated by Harry, we return once again to the Great Hall, where a number of Hogwarts professors, students, and Order of the Phoenix members are cited for their final time, including a hug with Hagrid, which is just perfect. The final words spoken in this time period are from Ron, which is invincible. This is when the trio are stood on the viaduct and Harry throws the Elder Wand into the ravine below. This is when we get our final view of Hogwarts, and although the rubble is everywhere, it still looks as magnificent as ever. 19 years later then appears on the screen in a very peculiar font choice, one I definitely would not have chosen. It looks bland and boring and could have been much better. The epilogue scene, however, was just perfect. The actors look older, but not too old, and Tom Felton looks incredible as an old Draco Malfoy. The main piece of dialogue is between Harry and his son Albus Sirius, and it is just the right length. The film ends with a zoomed-in shot of Harry, Ron and Hermione, nicely pushing Ginny out of the way. Although they look older, they still have the same qualities of themselves 10 years ago in Philosopher's Stone, which still shine through. Now, I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie, which I hope I've got across in this review and discussion. And if you've not seen the movie, please go out and watch it. You will really enjoy it. Even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, the actual film is so incredible. From the director, David Yates, has really brought it to screen the way I hope J. Rowling was expecting it to. I really like to thank David Heyman for all the effort he has put into these films and for making them as fantastic as they are, and I'm really going to miss them. But it is not over. Harry Potter is still always going to be part of our lives, and we have always got the books and the films to refer back to. Now, I hope you enjoyed this review from me, CruellasFurCoat. I hope it wasn't too long, but if you did, please don't forget to tune in to more of my videos, and if you have not already watched it, please watch my experience at the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 premiere down in Trafalgar Square last week. Yeah, okay, but also don't forget to comment, rate and subscribe if you like my videos. Thank you.